What if I told you that within your lifetime, humans could stand on a planet where the sky is a different color, where gravity pulls differently, and where time itself moves slower? Could the decisions we make in the next decade determine whether your grandchildren are born on Earth or light years away in a completely different solar system? Imagine looking up at the stars tonight, knowing that in just a few decades we may no longer be asking, "Are we alone?" but rather, "Who will we meet next?" Would you be ready for a future where the universe is no longer a mystery but our next frontier? So, let's talk about what's happening right now in space. You've probably heard about SpaceX, NASA, and other space agencies ramping up their efforts to get us back to the moon and even to Mars. It's like the new space race, but this time, it's not just about putting flags on planets, it's about staying there. We've got NASA's Artemis program aiming to put humans back on the moon by 2025, not for a quick visit like the Apollo missions, but to set up a permanent base. The moon is being seen as a stepping stone, a training ground for an even bigger mission, Mars. Now, Mars colonization, it sounds like science fiction, but companies like SpaceX are already laying out detailed plans to get us there. Elon Musk is pushing hard to send the first humans to Mars by the early 2030s, with the long-term goal of building a self-sustaining city. Can you imagine that? An actual human settlement on another planet? But it's not just SpaceX. NASA, China, and even private ventures are all eyeing Mars as the next frontier. It's no longer a question of we'll get there, and we'll lead the charge. What's making all this possible is the crazy evolution of rocket technology. Just a few years ago, the idea of reusable rockets seemed like a distant dream. Now, SpaceX's Falcon 9 regularly lands itself after launch, cutting costs and paving the way for more frequent missions. By 2030 we might see space tourism taking off, where average, wealthy people can experience orbiting the Earth or even vacationing around the moon. Imagine checking into a space hotel for the weekend. But the tech doesn't stop there. We're also seeing a huge shift in how we explore space with AI. AI-driven space probes are now being sent to places too dangerous or remote for humans. These smart probes can make decisions on their own, adjusting their routes and actions based on what they find. Add to that enhanced satellite networks and we're creating a web of advanced communication and monitoring systems that cover not just Earth, but also the Moon and Mars. What's really interesting is how space exploration has become a global effort. Sure, there's competition between countries like China, Russia, and the US, but we're also seeing unprecedented cooperation. The International Space Station is a great example, with multiple countries working together for decades now. In the near future, we'll likely see space agencies like NASA collaborating with emerging space powers like India, Japan, and the UAE to tackle bigger challenges like setting up lunar bases or launching interplanetary missions. But here's the flip side. The more we go into space, the more we'll need rules. And that's where things could get tricky. Space governance is still a gray area, and with private companies getting involved, who gets to decide what happens up there? Will nations start competing for resources on the moon or Mars, or will we figure out a way to share the solar system peacefully? Now let's bring it back to how all of this impacts life on Earth. Advances in space technology are reshaping industries here, like agriculture and climate monitoring. Remote sensing satellites are already helping farmers predict weather patterns more accurately, manage water resources, and boost crop yields. Meanwhile, space exploration is giving us tools to better understand and combat climate change by tracking Earth's vital signs from space. And that's just the beginning. As more technologies designed for space trickle down, we'll see them improve our communication networks, create new industries, and solve everyday problems on Earth. It's easy to forget that the space race isn't just about reaching new planets, it's also about revolutionizing life right here at home. So, moving into the 2030s, things are about to get when it comes to Mars. We're talking about the first human settlement on the Red Planet. Imagine this. The first crew lands, steps out of their spacecraft, and suddenly we're no longer just exploring Mars, we're staying. But living on Mars is no walk in the park. The planet's atmosphere is thin, temperatures can drop to -100°C, and radiation is a constant threat. The first settlers will need to build habitats that can shield them from these harsh conditions. likely underground or using materials they find on Mars itself. And then there's the challenge of sustainability. How do you live on a planet where you can't breathe the air, where there's no liquid water, and where you're tens of millions of kilometers away from Earth? This is where the concept of terraforming comes in, changing Mars' environment to make it more Earth-like. It's a wild idea, but some scientists believe that over centuries we could warm Mars up, release carbon dioxide from its soil, and create a thicker atmosphere. Others argue that we'll need to focus on mining Mars for resources like water and building materials to make colonies self-sufficient. Either way, colonizing Mars is going to push our technology and our imagination to the limits. While Mars is getting all the headlines, back on Earth, something else is happening. Space tourism is booming. By the 2030s, space travel won't just be for astronauts or billionaires, we're going to see regular people taking vacations in space. Picture this, space hotels orbiting the Earth where you can float in zero gravity while sipping your morning coffee, or tourist trips to the moon, where you can experience lunar gravity for a few days before heading back home. Orbital entertainment could even become a thing. Imagine watching a concert or a sports event while floating in orbit. Of course, all of this comes with its own set of challenges. Safety is a huge concern. Space is unforgiving, and any mistake can be catastrophic. But as more companies enter the market and technology improves, we'll see the cost of spaceflight come down. What's expensive and exclusive in the 2030s could be affordable for many by the end of the decade. It's not far-fetched to think that by 2040, taking a trip to space could be as common as hopping on an international flight today. What's driving all these advancements? The next big leap in technology, particularly in propulsion. Right now, rockets are powerful but slow, taking months to get to Mars. By the 2030s, we could see the rise of nuclear propulsion, which would drastically cut travel times and make long-term space missions more feasible. And beyond that, there's even talk of early concepts of faster-than-light travel. It's still theoretical, but if we crack that code, it'll change everything, opening up the possibility of interstellar travel in the distant future. Another game-changer is quantum computing. As it develops, it will revolutionize space exploration, allowing us to process massive amounts of data and solve complex problems at speeds we can barely imagine today. AI will also play a huge role, taking on more responsibilities for navigation, research, and even making decisions during missions. We're heading into an era where human and AI partnerships will be essential for exploring and colonizing space. Now let's talk about the space economy, because trust me, it's going to be. By the 2030s, we'll be mining asteroids and moons for rare metals, things like platinum, gold, and even water ice, which could be converted into fuel. Energy production in space is another frontier. With solar power stations orbiting the Earth or even the Moon, we could beam energy back to Earth, potentially solving our energy crisis down here. And that's just the beginning. New industries will sprout from space technologies. Whether it's creating space infrastructure, manufacturing in zero gravity, or even producing goods that can't be made on Earth due to gravity constraints, the possibilities are endless. Companies that get in early on the space economy could become the tech giants of the future. In a few decades, we might look back and realize that the space frontier wasn't just about exploration, it was about the birth of an entirely new economy. As we move into the 2040s, space exploration is going to get even more ambitious. We're no longer just talking about Mars, we're going beyond, into the deeper parts of our solar system. Imagine the first manned missions heading out to the asteroid belt, where astronauts are studying these massive space rocks for valuable minerals or clues about the early solar system. But it doesn't stop there. We're also aiming for the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. Places like Europa, Enceladus, and Titan. These moons are some of the most intriguing destinations because they may actually harbor life. Beneath Europa's icy crust, there's a massive ocean. And where there's water, there's the potential for life. We could be on the brink of discovering something truly groundbreaking. The idea of exploring these moons, where conditions are so different from anything we know, will push our space technology to its limits. We'll need advanced submarines to dive beneath Europa's ice, drones that can survive the harsh conditions of Titan's methane lakes, and probes that can drill deep into Enceladus's geysers. It's the ultimate scientific mission. Are we alone in the universe? And the 2040s could finally give us the answer. Astronomy is advancing at an incredible pace. By this point, we'll have telescopes and space observatories that can detect planets around other stars with Earth-like conditions. These exoplanets, hundreds or even thousands of light-years away, could have the right conditions for life. With every new discovery, we're learning more about what makes a planet habitable, and we're narrowing down the search for worlds that might have their own ecosystems, or even intelligent life. Imagine the excitement if, in the 2040s, we finally detect signs of microbial life elsewhere in our solar system, or if we find an exoplanet with an atmosphere that shows clear signs of life processes, like oxygen or methane. It would be one of the greatest discoveries in human history, completely reshaping how we think about life, not just on Earth but throughout the cosmos. To make all this possible, technology will need to keep evolving. We'll likely see the development of autonomous space stations that can run themselves, providing long-term habitats for astronauts or even tourists. Life support systems will become more efficient, allowing humans to stay in space for years at a time without relying on constant resupply from Earth. And communication across the solar system, well, that's going to look a lot different too. We'll have holographic communication, so real-time conversations with astronauts on the Moon, Mars, or even Europa will be possible. Imagine having a business meeting or a family chat with someone light-years away via hologram. One of the biggest technological breakthroughs we might see is the realization of fusion power. If we can crack the code on fusion, it would change everything, providing almost limitless clean energy both for space exploration and here on Earth. It's the kind of breakthrough that could power deep space missions for decades, making even the most distant planets and moons within reach. And what about living in space? By the 2040s, we could see fully functioning space cities, massive habitats orbiting Earth, Mars, or even the moons of Jupiter. These space stations wouldn't just be research outposts, they'd be thriving communities with homes, businesses, and schools. We're talking about entire populations living in space full-time. The idea of space elevators might not be as far-fetched as it sounds either. A structure that could transport people and cargo from the surface of Earth or a planet directly into space would revolutionize how we explore and settle the cosmos. Space elevators would make launching into space as routine as taking a train, dramatically reducing the cost and effort involved. These advances would lay the groundwork for turning space into a living, breathing extension of human society. We won't just visit space, we'll live there, work there, and maybe even call it home. The 2040s could be the decade where humanity starts to spread its wings, moving beyond Earth and becoming a truly spacefaring civilization. By the 2050s, we'll be taking our first real steps into the realm of interstellar exploration. Imagine this, for the first time in history, we'll be sending unmanned probes to nearby star systems like Alpha Centauri. These missions will be possible thanks to major breakthroughs in propulsion technology. Things like light sails propelled by lasers, or nuclear-powered engines that can travel at a significant fraction of the speed of light. It's wild to think that within this decade, we could be getting data from probes visiting other star systems. The distances are immense, so these journeys will still take decades, but we'll finally be exploring planets around other stars, up close and personal. What makes these missions possible isn't just the propulsion, but also the rise of AI. By this point, we'll have fully autonomous AI explorers that can make real-time decisions in space. These AI systems won't need constant guidance from Earth. They'll be able to navigate, analyze data, and even change course based on what they find, all on their own. It's like having a team of brilliant scientists embedded in each probe, except these scientists are algorithms capable of processing information millions of times faster than humans. But this raises some big ethical questions. If AI becomes the dominant force in space exploration, What does that mean for us? Will we start seeing AI colonies, completely autonomous, self-replicating outposts on other planets or moons? And if they're exploring and even expanding on their own, do we still control our destiny in space? There's also the question of whether AI should be allowed to make decisions about resource use or even contact with alien life. It's a fascinating yet somewhat unsettling possibility that AI could one day be doing all the exploring while we're watching from the sidelines. Closer to home, or at least within our solar system, we'll also be seeing the establishment of large, self-sustaining orbital colonies by the 2050s. These massive habitats could support thousands, even millions of people, orbiting Earth, Mars, or perhaps even the moons of Jupiter. They won't just be scientific outposts, they'll have everything: homes, parks, businesses, and schools. We'll see entire generations born and raised in space where living in orbit is as normal as living in a city on Earth. We might also establish interstellar bases, small research stations, mining outposts, or even tourist hubs, floating in deep space, serving as gateways to further exploration. These bases will be critical for long-duration missions, resource extraction, and eventually, human expansion into the stars. They'll allow us to go further and stay longer in space, without needing to return to Earth constantly for supplies. Now let's talk about how all of this impacts us back on Earth. By the 2050s, space technologies will have fully transformed daily life. Advances in healthcare driven by space research will lead to longer lifespans, new treatments, and possibly even cures for previously untreatable conditions. Education will also look vastly different, with virtual reality and AI-driven learning making information more accessible to everyone, regardless of location. Imagine attending a virtual class from anywhere in the world, or even in space, with holographic teachers guiding you through lessons in real time. But there's a flip side to this too. Space advancements could either unite us as a species or divide us even further. Will space exploration become a cooperative effort, bringing nations together in pursuit of a common goal? Or will it be a source of competition and conflict, with countries and corporations fighting for control over resources and territory in space? These are the kinds of questions we'll be grappling with as we continue to expand our presence beyond Earth. In this decade, space won't just be a distant frontier, it'll be an integral part of human society. The choices we make, both here and in space, will shape the future of humanity for generations to come. By the 2060s, one of the biggest questions we've ever asked may finally be answered. Over the past few decades, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, or SETI, will have made major strides. We'll have advanced tools and telescopes capable of detecting even the faintest signals from distant civilizations. And with the growth of our understanding of exoplanets and habitable zones, we'll be zeroing in on the most likely places where life might exist. Imagine, we could be receiving our first potential communications or undeniable signs of life from beyond Earth. Whether it's a mysterious radio signal from a distant star system, or a mathematical pattern that can't be natural, we'll be closer than ever to making contact. It's not just about detecting signals, though. We'll be developing technology to send our own messages out into the cosmos, communications meant to be understood by alien civilizations. These efforts will push our understanding of not just science and technology, but how we present ourselves as a species. What do we say to an intelligent life form millions of light years away? And how do we even begin to comprehend the nature of what we might find? If we do detect signs of extraterrestrial life, or even make contact with another civilization, the implications for humanity will be, it's not just a scientific discovery, it's a moment that could redefine everything we believe in. Religions across the world would face the question, how do we incorporate the existence of other intelligent beings into our understanding of the universe? Philosophically, we'd have to grapple with what it means for us to no longer be the only intelligent species we know of. It could change how we see ourselves and our place in the cosmos. And then there's the political side. The discovery of extraterrestrial life would send shockwaves through global politics. Countries and leaders would have to decide how to handle first contact, who speaks for Earth, How do we prepare for the possibility of either peaceful or hostile relations? It's not just about communication, it's about preparing humanity for an entirely new chapter in our existence, one where we might not be alone anymore. Technologically, the 2060S will also bring innovations that were once the stuff of science fiction. By this point, we'll have fully developed fusion-powered spacecraft. These ships will be capable of sustained interstellar journeys, giving us the ability to explore other star systems directly, rather than just sending probes. Fusion power will provide nearly limitless energy, making long-term missions to distant planets, and maybe even beyond our solar system possible. In addition to spacecraft, bioengineering will take huge leaps forward. For humans to survive in space for extended periods, or to thrive on alien planets, we'll need to enhance our biology. Advances in genetic engineering could allow us to withstand radiation, extreme temperatures, or even low-gravity environments. We'll be creating a new kind of astronaut, one who is not just exploring space, but physically adapted to survive and flourish in it. These advancements could pave the way for humanity to become a truly interstellar species, prepared to live and explore the cosmos for generations. The 2060S could very well mark the decade when humanity crosses paths with other intelligent life, unlocking mysteries of the universe we've been chasing for centuries. Whether that moment brings unity, fear, or wonder, one thing is certain: life on Earth will never be the same. By the 2070s, humanity's ambitions will stretch far beyond the solar system. Enter the concept of massive spacecraft designed to carry human beings on journeys lasting hundreds, even thousands of years. These ships will be self-sustaining ecosystems, carrying not just astronauts but entire communities, with each generation passing the torch to the next as they travel toward distant star systems. It's a mind-boggling thought. People born on these ships might live their entire lives in space, never setting foot on Earth or another planet. But how do you keep a human society functioning on a spaceship for centuries? These generation ships will need to replicate the diversity and complexity of life on Earth. There will be schools, jobs, families, governments, even art and culture evolving in space. It'll be a huge social experiment as we figure out how to maintain civilization, avoid conflict, and keep the crew motivated when the destination is generations away. It's a completely new way of living that we'll need to master if we're serious about colonizing the galaxy. To make these long-term missions possible, advancements in human genetic engineering will play a key role. By the 2070s, we'll have the ability to modify human DNA to help us adapt to space environments. We might engineer resistance to radiation, adjust our metabolism for zero-gravity conditions, or even modify our biology to survive with limited resources. Essentially, we'll be creating a new kind of human, one optimized for life beyond Earth. And that's just the beginning. We could see the rise of hybrid humans or cyborgs, people integrated with advanced technology to enhance their abilities in space, enhanced vision to see in dark environments, mechanical limbs for greater strength, or brain-computer interfaces that allow instant communication across vast distances. These are all possibilities. We'll need to rethink what it means to be human as we alter our bodies and minds to suit the demands of space exploration. The line between human and machine will blur, raising new ethical and philosophical questions about identity and evolution. As space colonies expand and generation ships venture to new worlds, we'll also see the emergence of new political dynamics. These space settlements, whether on Mars, moons, or orbital stations, won't just be extensions of Earth. They'll develop their own cultures, economies, and forms of governance. By the 2070s, some of these colonies could declare independence, becoming nations in their own right. The idea of space colonies as sovereign states will become a reality, and with that comes the potential for both cooperation and conflict. Imagine diplomacy between Earth and Mars, or a generation ship negotiating trade with a colony orbiting Jupiter. Space politics will be complex, with alliances, rivalries, and perhaps even wars breaking out over resources or territory. We'll need new systems of governance that can handle the unique challenges of space: laws for space commerce, regulations for resource extraction, and treaties to prevent conflict. How we manage these space nations will determine whether the future of humanity is peaceful or filled with strife as we expand across the galaxy. By the end of the 2070s, we won't just be visitors to space. We'll be settlers, explorers, and perhaps even the founders of new civilizations. Our journey from Earth into the galaxy will mark the beginning of a new era for humanity, where the stars aren't just distant lights in the sky, but destinations we call home. As we enter the 2080s, humanity will finally be establishing a permanent presence in other star systems. It's a huge leap for our species. After decades of preparation and exploration, we'll see the first bases on exoplanets, planets orbiting distant stars that were once just points of light in our telescopes. These outposts won't be temporary research stations, they'll be the foundations of human colonies in other solar systems. With the creation of artificial biospheres, we'll be able to sustain life on planets that were never meant for humans. Picture entire cities under domes, self-sufficient and thriving, in environments where no human has ever walked before. The colonization of distant worlds will be one of the greatest challenges we've ever faced. We'll need to terraform planets, manipulating their atmospheres, weather, and ecosystems to make them habitable. But it's not just about survival. It's about building societies, cultures, and economies far from Earth. These new colonies could develop their own unique ways of living, influenced by the harsh environments and the isolation from Earth. What does a normal life look like when you're living on a planet orbiting a star light years away? By the 2090s, humanity will truly be a multi-planet species no longer tied to a single world. And what about travel between these distant stars? In the 2080s, we might finally see the theoretical become reality. For years, physicists have speculated about the possibilities of faster-than-light travel, warp drives, wormholes, and bending space-time to make interstellar journeys more feasible. While still speculative, the advancements in theoretical physics could lead us closer to breaking the light-speed barrier, something once thought impossible. If we manage to achieve faster-than-light travel, the implications are mind-blowing. Suddenly, journeys that would take thousands of years could be completed in a matter of days or weeks. Entire galaxies could become accessible. The universe would shrink in a way that opens up endless possibilities. But it's not just the technology that's fascinating, it's what this means for humanity. If we can cross the vast distances between stars in the blink of an eye, what new opportunities, dangers, or unknowns will we encounter? The discovery of faster-than-light travel would mark the true dawn of an interstellar civilization, where humans aren't just explorers of the stars, we're participants in a vast, interconnected galaxy. By the 2090s, human civilization will look nothing like it did at the start of the 21st century. Both Earth and space will be home to thriving, advanced societies, each with its own way of life. Earth will likely remain a cultural and economic hub, but many humans will have chosen to live in space, on other planets, or in orbital habitats. The way we think about home will have completely changed, as humanity adapts to life spread across the stars. One of the biggest changes will be the merging of humans and artificial intelligence. Over the course of the 21st century, AI will have become an integral part of our lives, both on Earth and in space. By the 2090s, we might be looking at a post-human future where the lines between human and machine are so blurred, it's hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. Humans may have enhanced themselves through cybernetic augmentation or genetic engineering, and AI could become our partners, or even our equals, in every aspect of life. This merging of human and machine intelligence could lead to new ways of thinking, learning, and experiencing reality. In this future, society will be more interconnected than ever, not just between different parts of Earth but between different worlds and star systems. The choices we make in this era will shape not just the next 100 years, but the next 1,000. As we stand on the brink of a new age, the 2080s and 2090s will mark the dawn of a truly interstellar civilization, one that could continue to expand and evolve for millennia to come. As we near the end of the 21st century, the question on everyone's mind will be, what's next? By the 2090s, we'll have made incredible strides in space exploration, colonization, and technology, but it's only the beginning. Looking toward the 22nd century, humanity will be facing some of the biggest decisions in its history. The continued search for extraterrestrial life will likely intensify. By now, we might have found microbial life on other planets or moons, or even detected signs of advanced civilizations in distant star systems. But what happens when we find them? Do we initiate contact? And what does it mean for humanity to know we're not alone in the universe? Galactic exploration will also ramp up as we send more probes and, eventually, humans to star systems beyond our own. New star systems will be charted, and with faster-than-light travel potentially within reach, colonization efforts could expand far beyond anything we can currently imagine. We could see entire new civilizations sprouting up in different corners of the galaxy, each evolving in their own unique ways. The 22nd century could mark the beginning of humanity's true expansion into the galaxy, with starships carrying explorers, settlers, and scientists to new worlds in search of resources, knowledge, and perhaps even new home planets. Back on Earth, things will be just as transformative. The technological advancements of the past century will have reshaped every aspect of life. By 2099, we'll likely see a world powered by renewable energy, with environmental technologies reversing the damage caused by centuries of industrialization. Artificial intelligence, bioengineering, and virtual realities will be part of everyday life, blurring the line between the digital and physical worlds. We'll also likely witness major shifts in how we organize society. Governments, economies, and even cultural identities will evolve as humanity becomes more interconnected through space exploration. But with all the changes, Earth will still be our home, the cradle of humanity. The question is, how will we balance life on Earth with life in space? By now, a significant portion of the population might be living on other planets or in space habitats, leading to new social dynamics. How do we maintain a connection between Earth and the colonies, ensuring that we don't drift apart as a species? Will Earth remain the cultural and political center of human civilization, or will that role shift to a colony on Mars or an exoplanet? These are the kinds of questions we'll be grappling with as we move into the 22nd century. The 2090s will be a time of reflection and preparation. We'll be looking back on the incredible progress of the 21st century while also anticipating the challenges and opportunities of the future. As humanity continues to push the boundaries of exploration, technology, and existence itself, we'll have to decide what kind of future we want to create. Will we strive for unity and cooperation, or will competition and conflict define our next steps? Will we find peace and purpose in the stars, or will the challenges of space push us to our limits? One thing is for sure, the 22nd century will be unlike anything we've ever imagined. Whether we're exploring distant galaxies, making contact with alien life, or finding new ways to live and thrive in space, the possibilities are endless. And while the future remains uncertain, one truth stands clear: humanity's journey is only just beginning.